What up, everybody? This is Johnny and Mike from the Vet Victory Podcast.
We appreciate your support. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we hope you enjoy this episode. DJ Starks, what is up?
Same stuff I was doing last time. I think we had a conversation.
Yeah, when weren't you've put off like your wedding?
Yeah,
Now like 5 times?
about 7 times to be exact.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So when is it happening?
It's a good question. I got to talk when I get home. I get that question every time I come home late from work. Hey, so what's the plan?
All right, well, sorry, I didn't mean to bring up bad news.
No, you're good. It's nothing bad. I mean, everything's straight there. All
I
that.
just got my flight right here. I've been pending booking the ticket.
It's still hanging on.
First it was Hawaii, then you're telling me Colorado. I'm like, I don't want to go to Colorado. I want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, Hawaii, unless you're vaccinated, you ain't getting in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it shut down?
They're about to shut it down again because the numbers shot up. So.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
My army's making everybody get it done now.
Oh yeah. That's nothing
But
else.
by today, I think the deadline was like today or something,
No. It's like next
or
year.
they had to have a plan in place by the 15th
Oh
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, the plan.
So, all right, DJ, let's get into this. What are you doing? Where are you at? How long you been in the army?
Oh shoot, going on 21 years. I'm in Fort Carson. Running 3 companies right now. The maintenance program for 3 companies. So I got a tank company.
Jesus.
Then I got some Brads, 113s, few wheels. That's what I do.
When did you get there?
Oh shoot, December last year. So yeah, December 2020.
So, 2020. Okay. I know we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week because you were out in the field.
Yep, gunnery.
Loving life.
Gunnery.
Wasn't no life to love there.
Well, obviously we were covering 9/11 last week, and we did a couple of live events, and we did some other recordings. Not to belabor the point, but real quickly, you remember what you're doing 9/11 and what kind of impact has it had on you?
Oh man, I remember 9/11. I was doing the same thing I was doing now. I was a young private. Just got to Fort Hood, Texas, when the towers hit. Working on a vehicle, and then, long story short, that's what happened. Like, it went from there to where I'm at now. So basically, 9/11, lockdown, chaos, deployment after deployment after deployment, and here I am.
To 9/11.
My career went pretty fast during 9/11. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it went pretty fast and pretty good. It played an impact. And then it kind of calmed down a little bit. Like, I guess you could say within the last 6 years it's calmed down. But just busy. But, it kept me in. I will say that. Like, deployments, doing that nonstop, that kind of what kept me going. And now, with that being over, it's like, it's a whole different world. So,
Would you say that the dying down has kind of impacted your outlook on the last 6 years
hell
or so
yeah.
of your career?
hell yeah. From the time you guys were in, you guys got out, if you can imagine how it is now, it's really like, most of us old heads, I want to say not too long post 9/11 babies, we're like, no, we can't deal with this. It's a whole new, nobody cares about, I don't want to say that it went away, but it's kind of died down a lot. So it's not the same as it was prior to, back where it was like, hey, you got that patch on, you doing things, you making stuff happen. Now it's like nobody even cares about that. So I don't want to say it's forgotten as far as 9/11 goes, but I will say that it's somewhat forgotten. That doesn't matter.
Right.
It's kind of like,
Isn't that crazy?
I can compare it to, I don't want to say Vietnam, but you can't compare it to Vietnam, or more like World War II. Yeah, you served in World War II. Nobody cares. You're around during that time. It's just it's a memory as that thing. Part of history.
Right.
Part of history.
Right. And no longer one of those things that people actually walk around impressed that you were
No,
deployed.
now you got one of these. It's like prior to. Remember before where you'd be like, "Oh man, you got a combat patch. Where'd you go?" Now it's like, you got a combat patch. You need to get out.
Yeah, but I feel like now though it would almost that would be kind of resurging because less people have been deploying. So to have that, it's not necessarily rare, but it's with all the new soldiers coming in, they're looking at you in this state of shock and awe because you got to go over there during that.
No, it's not like that.
No?
Now it's about what degree you got, what education you got. Like, what can you do for me? Or like, it's not like how it was where we were like, hey, that's a Billy right there. That guy's been through some stuff like, respect. Now it's like, you owe me something. That's literally what it came to. Like, literally.
Yeah. Wow.
I can't speak
That's
on
crazy,
the other
right?
side of the house, like the Compo 2 and Compo 3s, but Compo 1s, you know what I'm talking about. I compare, like, it's totally different. Like, you get guys that get in 2-3 years, like, I'm done. I can't deal with this. I'm out.
Dang.
Yeah.
Jeez. I would, I don't know if it's the same, but I get, a lot of the veterans and stuff, especially that are out now, and when I got off of active duty and before I came back in the reserves, I almost would think that we could compare that to like how veterans that didn't retire or didn't get a medical retirement and just got out, how they're kind of treated where, oh, you're not retired, you don't have an ID, you can't get on post, oh, you served, great, but bye. That's the sense that I get from a lot of guys that are out now that can't even go on base to get to the PX.
Oh, yeah.
Like for me personally, I went back Father's Day weekend with my dad when my parents were in town, and if it wasn't for my dad with his retired military ID card, I wouldn't have been able to get on. I tried to show my VA ID card because they said that they do accept it, and the dude was like, "Yeah, we can't accept this," and I was just like, "Well, that's lame," But
That's crazy to me.
it is.
I mean, it's almost like I mean, I don't want to say history repeats itself in a sense like that, but it's almost like I had an uncle who was in Vietnam, and it's the same way with him. Like this guy, when he tells me the stories and the stuff he went through, and then you look at it now, it's like, man, you're a freaking hero compared more than I am, And it's like, okay, and it's pretty much like what they say: once you're out, you're out. Nobody really cares, like unless you got that blue or now the white ID card that says retired on it. It's like we don't care what you served, what you did, if you a veteran or what. It's kind of like you're almost, you say a lost cause. I won't say lost cause, but you're like not that person anymore. It's like, okay, you deployed and
Yeah. Well, and you're right. So you just got done talking. You're a couple months now away from retirement.
yeah,
Is that right?
That's right.
You excited? Look at that smile crack on your face already. It's like, how many days? How many days?
I don't count the days. I don't count down.
First Sergeant Nunnery could tell you exactly how many sleeps he had left.
Could he? No, I don't count down like that, because there's still a part of me that enjoys this, I was able to cover down for the first sergeant for maybe, a couple weeks, and I was like, man, like this is, getting out there doing PT and stuff like that, but just one of those things like we talked about earlier, like it's not the same. You don't have that same, the respect, the level of stuff like that is not the same as it was back in the days. It's like, all right, it's almost like we're on even playing fields.
So it's going to be bittersweet for you?
It will, yeah. Cause I mean, there's that part of me that's like, there's probably about 40% of me that enjoys what I do, and like, oh man, like getting up in the morning, I get a little motivation, hype going to work, and then there's the other part that's like, man, fuck this shit. I do it that some other time.
Do you have any regrets as you overlooked your career and it's winding down literally?
I do.
And it's about to
My
be
biggest
done?
regret, my biggest regret was Campbell, like straight up. Like I don't know if y'all remember, but I don't know if you was there or not, Johnny. I think you was gone, Mike D, by that time. But that's when I was supposed to be the first sergeant. Once old, what was his name? James L. Fountain, retiree now. Once he left, I was supposed to take over.
Right.
And then they sent me on that second deployment that I didn't want to go on. Were you there during that time frame?
Nah, I was already in aviation.
Renice will tell you. And I went there and I said I didn't want to go. They made me go. And they said, when you come back, we're going to promise you this position. And then I came back and they
On
was
the
like,
backside.
yeah, they was like, nah. And that's when somebody told me he wanted to be a shop foreman after being an MCS going on 4 years. He wanted me to be a shop foreman and switch me out with the guy who was on rear D.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at you, I promise.
Right. That's crazy.
I can't make this up. So when we talk about regrets, I'm just kind of just throwing that in there. But basically what it was, I was salty. So I was like, I don't care about promotion. I don't care about nothing. I wanted to get out. So during that time frame, I declined my board over and over and over again for promotion. Because you guys know I made Sergeant First Class, 2011? So yeah.
Fast.
Yeah. So I declined it, thought I was going to get kicked out the Army. I never did. And I look back at it now like, man, I got buddies who I was Sergeant First Classes with that are Sergeant Majors now. I'm like, if I wouldn't have had that salty attitude, I just would have been like, whatever, take it with a grain of salt. There's no telling where I would be at now. So that is one thing I can sit there and say as a regret. If not like, whatever. Taking that as a, like move on. Basically, like take that as like, hey, whatever, and move on. I didn't. I kind of held on to that stuff.
Yeah. And
even to the day, I kind of bring it up at times when I get irritated.
So what would you say to somebody that's going through the same mental struggles now, looking back in hindsight?
Oh, I say it to them all the time. Like, don't take it for granted. I mean, take it with a grain of salt and move on, but don't let that stop you. You know what I'm saying? Or disgruntle you or discourage you from going to where, you might have that potential of going to.
Do you have any words for, with the newer generation of the Army and the way it's going, do you have any advice for anybody who's just coming in?
Hey, it's hard.
Gotcha.
You did. It's hard. This new generation, me having teenagers, this new generation is, the only advice you can get them is like, hey, do your best, but it's hard. It's hard for me to adjust from the time that I came in to the generation that we have coming in now. It's very, very hard to adjust.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What?
We we come in, like I say, like right now, like a couple of my battles, that's on the same level with me. Like we come in, it's like, let's work, let's get this stuff done, let's chill. And the new generation, like, let's chill, and we'll work on that stuff some other time. So like, the advice I can tell them was like, hey, work hard, play hard, get it done, get it over with. But now it's like, it's more like, hey, if we don't like what we're doing, then we'll go tell the boss on you, or more like we just don't want to do it, and nothing happens. So I really can't get. The only advice I can give to them is like, hey, do your best, be the best you can be. But it's kind of hard to talk to anybody that's 2002 and above. It's hard to talk to,
especially when they don't have the. Do they not already have the upper hand in a sense anyway?
Oh yeah. To a point,
So there really is nothing that you can write. You're kind of hands tied to a certain extent, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like when you guys are in, like at a certain level, you can go, you can go deal with it. But now you can go straight to the commander. You ain't got to talk to the platoon sergeant, the squad leader. You just go straight to the commander. And if you don't like the commander, you go straight to the battalion commander. If you don't like him, you can go straight to the brigade commander.
Would you say, looking back, minus the regret stuff, but mentally, of all the deployments you've been on, because, we know that in your 2 deployments with Campbell, there was a lot of really, really messed up stuff that happened on those deployments. It was a lot more kinetic and crazy than people think. Would you say that it, obviously it's changed you, right? Everything, all the deployments change people, but would you say it's changed you, and in what ways?
I say it's changed me, like taking stuff for granted. Like, I will say that, like, before, I guess you can say prior to my first deployment, and even these ones we're talking about, it was like, hey, whatever. And, then after deploying so many times, after, like, with that 2013 was my 7th deployment. Yeah, after that time, I was like, really, like, it hit you different. So, your mentality has changed a lot. Like, the impact on the very shortness, like, a sense of let's move, let's get this done, or even, I will say, in the personal life at home, like even with my kids, it's kind of like the short temper, like the patience you used to have, you don't have that much anymore, and I think that plays a lot from the deployments. And I think, you guys have been deployed before, so you can probably speak on that too, in the same sense or relate to what I'm talking about, like stuff that before you'd be like, whatever, kind of may trigger you more than it normally does, just any little thing, like, and I think that we forget as being, especially as service members, is like when things hit you, it's like that you don't think about like the quick reaction or the temper, like, oh shoot. Like now it's kind of like that stuff plays into the civilian role or even to your household role. So I can say, like, yeah, the impact has really made a difference as far as my temper. And I can see, like, over the years, like, things I would deal with. And now I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. Like, whatever, you know. Relationships.
How do you
relationships
regulate
definitely
that?
is a big one. I can say that.
What do you do to regulate that? Do you have an outlet? Do you do stuff? Have you developed a hobby to help with?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I
that
do, like,
stuff,
you know, I get them to do PT or I cycle. I don't know if you guys pay attention. I cycle a lot more. I used to not ride bikes, so, you know, that's kind of another thing. I do that. The other thing is every soldier's thing is drink, but, you know,
Not healthy.
not healthy. Yeah, you're right, not healthy. So
And it just fuels more problems.
correct.
Yeah, I remember seeing you post all your videos and pictures of you riding throughout Korea, and a lot of cool rides, like breathtaking views that you would not find anywhere else.
Oh yeah, that was an outlet, you know, kind of just something different to take your mind off, you know.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You should get a lot of that in Colorado, no?
Man, we at 6,000 feet, Johnny. You may get ones or twos out of me, but hey, I'm 40 now. I think
No, I understand.
when I met you, I was 28. So if you can think about it, I'm 40 now. So
Well, what's next for you, DJ?
coach football. I'm excited about
Yeah?
that. Yep.
What level are you trying to take it
What
to?
do you say?
What level are you trying to take
I just
it to?
high school, you know. If I go higher than that, that's cool. But kind of my thing is like high school. I got kids coming up, so I really want to coach them. You know, stuff you missed out on, or I missed out on. Don't say you guys. I missed out on during deployments. You know, stuff that you don't like. Once again, back to what we was talking about earlier, things you take for granted. You know, like we can even sit there and talk about it right now. It's what 18:30, and you look back at it like, whatever. And then you never know when that time catches up to you. And you're looking like, man, like I could have just been home. Like, is it that serious? Is work that serious? You know, so. Coaching is a big thing. I think that's more for my son, so I can be there with my kid, who's a freshman now, my youngest boy, and be able to kind of like sophomore, junior, senior year, you know. And I ain't trying to be no head coach, you know, nobody like that. Just put me on, just be there, you know, to get that bonding time that most of us take for granted. That, you know, some kids probably wish their dad, especially we talk about military, who were killed in combat, you know, that we might know a few who's died, you know, and it's like their kid probably like, I would give anything for my dad to just be, you know, doing something like that. So.
Right,
For
right.
sure, man. What do you What do you coach? Like wide receivers, quarterbacks? What do you
DBs.
coach?
So DBs is like my thing. So
DBs.
I don't know if you guys remember when I was at Campbell, I coached there, coached in Hawaii, coached a little bit in Korea, coached junior high at Campbell. I don't know if you guys might have been out by then. It was me and you remember Cortez Winters?
No.
Winners.
He was assigned first class, but this was matter of fact. No, I didn't know you guys then. This was before I came to DECO. This is before I came to DECO when I first got there, and I did that. Then Hawaii, the same thing. Did some coaching, coached some junior high kids. Did a little volunteer work at EVA for the high school, and it was like nothing paid, you know, but just did DBs, safeties, you know, just something like that.
And what does your son play?
He's quarterback.
Okay.
So I got one that's quarterback, then I got my other kid that's a junior right now, and he's pretty much big time kid. So I don't know if you guys look on my Facebook, my videos I post. He's a junior.
Yeah.
He's a junior, so, you know, things like those. He's back in Missouri. He's not here with me. The other kid decided to move here with me. But, you know, back in Missouri, so.
You trying to push him to the Tigers?
Trying to. I don't know. I don't know. This kid's a beast, you know, 6'1", 185 pounds, 16. Like, so we'll see.
Where do you plan on staying when you
Hawaii.
get out? Where are you going?
Hawaii. I'm going back to Hawaii.
Are you going to go back?
It's nice here.
You still have your house there?
We say?
You still have your house
Yeah.
there?
It's funny because it's being rented right now, and hopefully I can get Renice in it. So,
Oh, nice.
We talked about that.
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So I can get her in it.
That'd be cool if that works out that
Yeah,
way.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But she only has a year because I'm coming back next year. Even though I told her to buy, but yeah, so
It's a tough market right now.
it is. It is.
Did you buy in Colorado? Yeah.
So the house in Hawaii was in VA. The house here is VA. So it's kind of one of those things, man, where Steph has a 3-year contract. She works for Space Command for the Navy. So she has 3 years here, and then she goes back.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. How is that? Does she talk about that at all? Like, is it coming from the military side of things? Is it anything like that?
It's not. So, like, for her, she's been doing this for 15 years. You know, she's been in Hawaii. She's been in Hawaii basically for the last 20, minus being here, so we'll say the last 20 years. I mean, this last year she's been here, but not almost a year coming up. But she's been there her whole life. But, DOD, that side, the Navy side, is totally different. It is totally different. Like, for me, it's hard for her to deal with this because I always relate this to Campbell. Like, when I said I'm coming to Carson, like, it's going to be like Fort Campbell, but you know what that's like. But you're going to realize early morning, late nights, like FSC, BCT world, like, they don't care about, And I think it's hard for her to adjust to because in Navy, she's been around, it's more like you got a job, and that's your job specialty. Unless you're on the boat out at sea, your job is, if you come in at 7 and you're done at 3, 8 hours. Wow. Yeah.
Is she getting ready to retire?
No, she's DOD, so she's not Navy. She's DOD, but she has some time. So.
No, but I'm saying, is she getting ready to retire DOD?
No. She's got like another 15 years probably before she can retire.
I got you.
Let's ask this question. Going into your veteran status as you're approaching that, right? Do you have anything that you're most worried about as being a guy that spent 21 years in the Army and now you're about to get out and you have that?
Like, not necessarily what I want to do because it's like the fun stuff. I think my biggest thing is going to be like missing it, like to stop, like the fast pace. When I was in Hawaii and Korea, it was slow pace, so it's been perfect because, hardly working, hardly doing stuff, no PT, and coming here,
it's easier transition.
And it's like go. That plays a role. So I would say I'm probably gonna be stopping, like taking off the uniform and being like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, man, what am I gonna do now? That's probably my biggest worry is like, what am I gonna do now? Like, man, like I think one of the biggest things that a lot of soldiers, especially retirees, think about is like, I don't want to say like camaraderie, but then like the worthlessness. Like, do I mean anything anymore? Because in the Army, you got your stuff you've been doing, you've been meaning a lot, you're running people, then you're back to that low end of the totem pole when you get out, and it's like nobody really, unless they're in the military, like we talk about now, nobody cares. I don't think as we would care about each other. Like, oh, you did okay. It's like, oh, whatever, we won't care. So I say worthlessness is probably the biggest thing that a lot of people don't talk about, but that's one of the biggest issues I think that affects a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I can see that 100%. Taking a toll on me too.
Yep, it is. It's tough too, man. And I don't know. I got out from Campbell to here, and I stayed here, so I understand that transition to go from like fast paced to literally not doing as much anymore. And then as you're not producing a product, if you will, you kind of question like, man, you know what I'm saying? Am I putting forth my contribution to society, I guess? You know what I'm saying? And then when everybody else looks at you, 20 years of service, and once you get out, they're going to look at you like, okay, so what? Now you really feel like you're not putting forth your contribution to society. So that's a very understandable statement, I think.
Yeah, that's true. So let me ask you guys this question. Like, when you guys got out, was it, I know we all talk about the excitement of like, I'm done with it. But like, when you guys got out, was it like, you might do something like what you might do some boats, or like even you, what you do, Johnny, like, with the ref and all this stuff, like, did you feel like I'm not producing enough? You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in the Army, in the Army as you as the XO, just going, and then like you get out and it's like, it's nice, but is there like a void that you had to fill?
Do you want to go ahead, Johnny?
I'll let you go on that one.
Yeah. 100%. And it's 100% the reason why I joined the reserves again. Because, so I got out to chase the Olympics. I shot in college, and then I was going to try to go to the Army Marksman Unit. That didn't work out, and so I went to a civilian organization, got completely out to go chase the 2016 Olympics. Didn't make it, and after I realized that I wasn't going to make it, throughout that time, there were guys that had served in the military, but that was like in the 80s. And so there was nobody where I was in Alabama that had any current experience in the military. And so there was nobody to really talk to without talking to Johnny or Carl or, old friends, Ben, Jake Gatewood, stuff like that, were at least serving around the same time. So I reached out to what's now is called Recruit Military, but at the time it was Bradley Morris Incorporated, and it's a military headhunting organization that helps veterans fresh off. It's meant for 12 months or less out of the military, off of active duty, and you go to a hiring center, they build a resume, you do some practice interviews around the like in a working group, and then you literally go into this hotel and you go room to room to room to room interviewing. And Marine Max was in one of those rooms, and 2 weeks later I was offered a position to move to Florida to come sell boats. And so I came down here. It was a big change, right? Going from Alabama down to Florida, completely out of my element. Didn't necessarily have any boating experience, much less sales experience. So it was just the boating industry is not necessarily what Mike Dickinson looks like. So I'm kind of the guy that doesn't really fit into that, initial scene. And I was still missing it. I mean, there was still that empty piece that was just not there. And so about 2.5 years or so after being down here is when I was like, I've got to see if I'm even allowed back in. Because at the time I'd already passed like the 8-year mandatory obligations, stuff like that. So I thought it was done. And then I called a recruiter one day, and of course they're all excited that I reached out to them. And so I came back in, and I came to AR Medcom, which is where I've been now for the last 3 years. And while it's not active duty, to your point, I was a Brigade S4 as a captain, filling the role of a major and 2 captains before Major Bailey got there. And I was working for Colonel Snyder, at the time, Major Snyder, who is probably one of the best bosses I've ever worked for. I still carry a lot of his, priorities and leader mantras and stuff like that with me even today. But it was super fast paced. I mean, we were getting you guys out the door. So it was running SRPs. It was fielding that big S6 signal. Remember all those vehicles had to go
get the C node. Yeah, the C node and the
yeah. So it was like super, super fast, and then you come out to shooting guns in Alabama, where there's like no real sense of time, and instantaneously there's that big piece, and that's why I feel like I can empathize a little bit with veterans who have gotten out but didn't retire, because even I had to go print off my DD-214 just to, go get a discount at Lowe's, because you are nothing as a veteran without that. Now, I'm not one to go walk around my DD-214, but that's an example of many stories that we've seen of people who carry around their DD-214, and I'm not knocking that, because I know how it feels to where, oh, great, thanks for your service, but sorry, I still can't give you access to the PX. I still can't give you. And then luckily a couple years ago they changed at least the PX did, to where you could shop online through the exchange and still get tax-free and good shipping and all that stuff. So veterans can still be taken care of on that regard, but it's not like they can go to the commissary, and if they didn't deploy or if they don't have certain qualifications, they can't go to the VA anymore. So it's a problem. I don't know how there's a way to fix it, but that's I was excited to get out, thinking that there was going to be just this other side of freedom. And even now, in the reserves, I'm like, how much more time do I have? Okay, I'm a major. If I do, and then I might be a lieutenant colonel by the time I retire. Okay, I think I can hang on for, 7 more years. But even then, having gone through what I went through, I look at that down the road, and I'm like, I don't know that when I get there I'm going to be that jacked up about stopping it. So that's my quick summary, Johnny.
For me, I don't know, just shy of 14 years in, I got out in 2017. I lived the first half of my career very fast-paced, 3 deployments, and then I got to Fort Campbell thinking I was about to deploy again, hoping that I was. That shit didn't happen. And then life just kind of slowed down. And then when you get out, it's like you're still doing something while you're in the Army, even if you're not deploying. But when I got out like at the end of my basketball season for college. So that kind of keeps me going. I'm always out on the road. I'm too busy to really think about how much free time I honestly have because I'm traveling so much. So as I get out, as at the end of that season, and I now have nothing to do going into the summertime, it's just like, damn, I traveled a little bit, had some fun, but then you still don't have those friends. I guess all your friends are the old guys that, you know, we served with or whatever. There were a few people here in Clarksville still that were in the Army with us. They got out. They've moved on. Carl's one of them. He got married. He left. I had a buddy here. He moved. And everybody just kind of moves away, and you just feel like you're alone in a big-ass world, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's odd. But for me, whenever I'm not really actively doing a bunch of shit, it's probably the worst when things like really set in on me. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to adapt. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's been a while for me being out, and I still have, you know, I try to adapt on a day-to-day basis and figure out something new to do, but it's tough, man. How do you, or what have you done, if you've thought about that, to take care of yourself? Because I know that you're a PT stud. You know what I'm saying? You probably didn't really go too much to the hospital or whatever throughout your career, but like, what are you gonna do to prepare for all of that? Because the VA system shafts you.
It's hard. It's hard to be able to adjust to that from what. It's hard to be able to adjust to that, you know, talking about like from, like you're saying, being that person. You know, even now, I still get up, I still run 4 or 5 miles in the morning, and it's like my body ain't in that position, so. You know, we're talking about being prepared. What have I done? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. I mean, I go to medical and stuff like that, but, you know, I use that term, we're built different, but I think it'll affect me once I'm out, for sure. You know, once you're out the military, it's going to affect you.
My only comment to that, I hear what you guys are saying about the 1 to 2 years, 3 to 4 years. Void of the 20 years of deployments that we've had, right? Let's not forget, you know, from 91 or anybody that didn't go to Kuwait. So the last conflict before that was in the 80s, or, you know, even longer before that, to all the way to 2000. You could have spent almost an entire 20-year career and not even have a sniff at a deployment. My only comment to that would be there's still a lot of wear and tear that the Army does on you that has nothing to do with the deployment, right? There's just, I think DJ this will strike a chord with him. There's a lot of unnecessary white space that's filled with just total bullshit that puts soldiers in danger, like a 20-mile ruck march from Fort Campbell towards Nashville, and then turn around and come back for and that's not 20 mile, 50 mile, whatever they used to do. Yeah, so. But what I would say in counter to that is the guys who deployed several times that maybe didn't, like you're saying, haven't necessarily been taking care of the medical records or taking care of themselves too much, and they've been through deployments and they've gotten injured or they've gotten hurt and didn't go through the VA process, and they more than deserve it. Because, look, I think we can all agree that a 20-year career in the military, deployments or not, is like serving 30 or 40 years in any other career or industry, with the exception of, like, you know, a deep water oil rigger or something, you know, something else that's just like extremely backbreaking, like some farmers or whatever. So there's a lot of guys that didn't serve the full 20 or didn't serve till retirement because they just physically couldn't do it anymore, and still are in the same boat as if nothing ever happened and they never served. And those are the guys that I feel like are sitting at home in the dark, really contemplating what the hell they've done with their life over the last 10 to 15 years. And that's what scares me is, you know, everybody wants to talk about it. There's some special ops guys, and there's some guys with the personality where they don't care about talking to their military. But a Vietnam vet with his hat on, or a Desert Storm, Desert Shield guy with his hat on or a shirt on, they want to talk about it. They don't want to hear necessarily thank you for your service. They actually want to talk about their experiences and talk about, you know, with somebody else that knows what they're saying. and I think that we need to do more of that. But DJ, you got to start looking into it because listen, I'm serious. People say milk this, milk that, but it's there, and it's there for you. So I'm not saying, follow the crowd, but it's there. You served. You deserve it. Go get it. Thank you for your short time. I appreciate any time that you're willing to give us. Hopefully we can have you on again. And take it easy, man. Take care of yourself over these next few months. Don't do anything stupid. Just get home to the wife and kids, and good luck coaching.
Oh yeah,
congratulations on retirement.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
I definitely that'll be the next topic. We could do some more in between there when it's not as busy, but that'll be the best one. See how I'm doing there. I probably got hair, gray hair, and nice shave,
beard, and it's white.
A homeless man.